It's a debate that has echoed in pubs and stadiums for well over a decade. Who was the better striker at their absolute peak? Was it the raw, untamed force of nature from Liverpool, Wayne Rooney, or was it the indomitable Ivorian powerhouse, Didier Drogba? Both were icons, both were champions. They defined an entire era of the Premier League, leading the line for two of its most dominant forces, Manchester United, Chelsea. When you think of that period, their faces, their goals, and their fierce determination are what come to mind. They were more than just goal scorers, talismans for their clubs, carrying the hopes of millions every single weekend. Wayne Rooney's style was a beautiful chaos. He wasn't just a number 9. He wasn't just a number 10. He was everything, everywhere, all at once. You would see him dropping deep into midfield to orchestrate play, spraying passes out to the wings like a seasoned playmaker. Then, moments later, he would be charging into the box to get on the end of a cross, finishing with the ruthless instinct of a pure goalscorer. His game was built on a foundation of raw power, incredible technical skill, and an engine that simply never stopped running. Didier Drogba, on the other hand, was the master of a very specific and utterly devastating domain. He was the archetypal target man, but to label him as just that does him a great disservice. His ability to hold up the ball with his back to goal was second to none. When you look at the raw numbers, Wayne Rooney's longevity and consistency are simply staggering. He finished his career with 208 league goals, making him the second highest scorer in the competition's history. He also sits third on the all-time assists chart with 103. Those statistics tell you everything you need to know about his all-around contribution. He wasn't just a finisher, he was a creator. His trophy cabinet is equally impressive, boasting 5 Premier League titles, a Champions League winners' medal, an FA Cup, and 3 League Cups. Didier Drogba's numbers, while not as voluminous as Rooney's, tell a different story. A story of clinical efficiency and big game mentality. He scored 104 goals in the Premier League across his 2 spells with Chelsea. While that's just over half of Rooney's total, his goals per game ratio was excellent. And crucially, so many of his strikes came when it mattered most. Certain goals are etched into the memory of every football fan, and Wayne Rooney produced more than his fair share of them. You have his stunning debut hat-trick in the Champions League against Fenerbahce, announcing his arrival at Old Trafford in the most spectacular fashion. There was the incredible volley against Newcastle, a strike of pure, unadulterated anger and technique that nearly ripped the net off. But the one moment that stands above all others is that goal, the overhead kick in the Manchester derby in 2011. The timing, the athleticism, the sheer audacity to even attempt it, let alone execute it perfectly to win the game. Didier Drogba's portfolio of iconic moments is just as glittering, though often characterized by brute force and an unshakable will to win. Think of his goal against Liverpool in 2006 at Stamford Bridge. He controlled a high ball on his chest, swiveled and unleashed an unstoppable left-footed volley that flew into the top corner. It was a perfect demonstration of his unique combination of strength, control, and finishing power. Another unforgettable strike came against Everton in 2006. And then there is Drogba in finals. It became almost a foregone conclusion that if Chelsea were in a final, Drogba would score. His header in the 2012 Champions League final is the most famous example, an incredible display of neck strength and desire to meet the ball at the near post, but he did it time and time again. The winning goal in the 2007 FA Cup final against Manchester United, the opener in the 2009 final against Everton, the winner in the 2010 final against Portsmouth, the winner again in the 2012 final against Liverpool. It is a record that is simply unmatched. He wasn't just a participant in finals, he was the decider. Rooney was sensational during the 2009-10 season, where he carried an incredible goal-scoring burden for Manchester United, after the departure of Cristiano Ronaldo, scoring 34 goals in all competitions. In the 2011 Champions League final against a magnificent Barcelona side, it was Rooney who scored United's equaliser with a brilliant finish, a moment of defiance against one of the greatest club teams ever assembled. Ultimately, choosing one over the other feels almost like a disservice to both. They were two sides of the same coin of greatness. Rooney's sustained brilliance over a longer period and his superior all-around game give him a strong case. Goals, assists. Season after season he delivered for one of the world's biggest clubs. His place in the pantheon of English footballing greats is absolutely secure. However, football is a game of moments, and no one delivered more iconic, trophy-winning moments than Didier Drogba. He may not have Rooney's numbers, but his impact in the biggest games is arguably unparalleled in the Premier League era. The way he single-handedly won the Champions League for Chelsea is the stuff of legend. For that reason, if I had to pick one player for a single must-win cup final, my choice would have to be the Ivorian. But who was the better overall Premier League player? That's a much tougher question. Perhaps the best way to settle it is to ask yourself, who would you have rather had leading your line? That's a debate that will rightly rage on forever. Rooney's versatility was his greatest asset to Manchester United. Sir Alex Ferguson could deploy him on the left wing as a second striker or as the lone frontman, and he would excel in every role. He sacrificed his own goal-scoring numbers at times for the good of the team, most notably to accommodate Cristiano Ronaldo. Drogba's impact was more concentrated but just as profound. He was the undisputed leader of the Chelsea attack. Everything was designed to play to his strengths. Crosses were whipped into the box for him to attack. Long balls were played up to his chest for him to control and bring others into the game. He terrified defenders mentally and physically before a ball was even kicked. His presence alone was a tactical weapon. Teams had to double up on him, which inevitably created acres of space for players like Frank Lampard to exploit. He was the sun around which the Chelsea solar system revolved, a gravitational force of pure power. It really comes down to what qualities you prize the most in a forward. With Wayne Rooney, you have arguably the more naturally gifted all-around footballer. That's a debate that will rightly rage on forever.